Good morning, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. First up, lanes reopened on Route 4 in Epsom after flooding. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Gene Mackin.
It was a surprise to drivers on Route 4 in Epsom. Out of nowhere, a river started rising under their cars. This passenger started recording.
We had gone from a 3-lane road to basically a 1.5-lane road. We had heavy water coming down.
Roadblocks set up near the Epsom traffic circle and Main Street in Chichester kept traffic off this stretch of Route 4 while crews found their culprit. A beaver dam burst less than a half-mile away on an unnamed pond. A drone helped rescue crews confirm the beaver dam break.
What we were able to do was fly over the pond, the dam that had breached, and being able to see what the water levels were in that pond, and the water levels had come down significantly.
The guys hiked up to find it, and then once they got there, the drone went in the air, and we could see it was approximately looks like a 5-foot, 6-foot dam on a what would have been normal swamp with all this rain that's come down. Finally let go.
DOT crews are now repairing the pavement compromised by the beaver dam burst. Any sign of the beaver?
Believe it or not, while we were here, one did come across the road and down by the police cruiser and headed on the other side.
Well, crews will be back out here in the morning, the DOT, to repair the damage to the shoulder here. They are also monitoring water levels downstream where all that water washed. Live in Epsom tonight, Gene Mackin, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Market owner chases after Brazilian robberies with bat in Boston. Let's take a listen to the video from WCVB Boston.
Automatic emergency braking that can help stop for you. Now's the time to save with exclusive offers like this.
Saturday morning just before 4:30, two guys break into DJ's Polish Market here in Dorchester as Dawn Morris is alone in the back making Polish donuts.
I actually saw someone throwing something at the door. I ran to the alarm system.
As they steal cigarettes and scratch tickets, Dawn hits the panic button, calls her parents who live right down the street, and in less than 90 seconds her dad, 62-year-old Danny Morris, was there, horn blaring, jumping out of his truck, baseball bat in hand, rage running through his body, making sure these two thieves didn't lay a hand on the youngest of his 4 kids.
I just came at him and excuse me, just thinking of my daughter.
Now as Danny was chasing after one guy, Dawn flags down EMS, who then goes after the other guy, catches up with him, and apprehends him. That alleged thief identified as T. Nugent, and Nugent was in court today being arraigned. Also in court today, Dawn and her mom, Alina, watching the whole thing.
The most empowering thing was just be like, we caught you.
The person who apprehended Nugent? Well, Boston Emergency Services not releasing his or her name.
I'd like to, thank him. I think that was a really great thing that he did.
You see Danny right behind me right now, big smile on his face. And I think you saw by the video, those two guys that broke in here, they picked the wrong dad to mess with.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Man accused of scaring woman to death sentenced to 10 years in prison. Let's take a listen to the video from WMTW News 8 Maine.
It's the Xfinity Best Deal of the Year. Now getting 300 bucks back when you include Xfinity Mobile with your internet. More tuba!
Simple, easy, awesome. To learn more, click Call or visit us today.
He wanted to accept responsibility, and as I said, he was really interested in letting the family have closure finally.
Lawyers for Carlton Young talking about the decision to enter a plea deal today. Young pleading guilty to a series of charges, including burglary and manslaughter, for his role in Connie Lauk's death. In a summary of their case, prosecutors outlined what happened as Young tried to break into her home while she was there alone in March of 2015.
She calls the police, she calls her daughter, she speaks to her daughter, and at about 12:36 that day, the phone goes dead.
Investigators say Laux was scared to the point of a fatal heart attack. Young will serve 10 years in prison based on today's plea agreement.
So a 10-year total sentence today. We had to recommend it, given the circumstances.
Laux' family was there for the sentencing. While speaking to the judge, her husband called Young, quote, a coward and a punk. He also thanked investigators for their help along the way.
So it's been 3.5 years. It's been a long ordeal for us. My family's been through a tremendous tragedy, and it's been very difficult for us.
Laux describing his wife as his childhood sweetheart.
We're married for 42 years. She was a wonderful person, a very caring, active individual.
Young's lawyers say he's remorseful about Laux' death and never intended for things to happen the way that they did.
There was a lot that goes into this, and at the end of the day, this is a tragedy all the way around.
Now, Young was sentenced on additional charges today, but will serve that time while serving the 10-year sentence from the plea deal. When asked for their thoughts about the sentence, family members of Connie Laux said, quote, that was the deal. Live in studio, Tyler Cataret, WMTW News 8.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. China has outspent the U.S. by $24 billion in 5G technology since 2015. Catching up could be hard. China has, in recent years, outspent the U.S. by $24 billion in the area of next-generation mobile internet technology known as 5G, potentially creating a tsunami that will be difficult to catch up with, according to a delicate or study published today. Firewall Council to protect government secrets in Russian election meddling case.
Special counsel wants to ask President Trump about obstruction of justice, both in written form and in person. And tonight, the other developing headline here, the president's lawyer now saying when the president will decide whether to do it. The decision likely, he says, within days. And about Russia, the president's FBI chief, the director of national intelligence, the director of homeland security, all of them coming out today in force. ABC's chief White House correspondent Jonathan Karl with what they said about Russia.
Just over 2 weeks ago, standing next to Russian President Vladimir Putin, President Trump refused to blame Russia for meddling in our election.
So I have great confidence in my intelligence people, but I will tell you that President Putin was extremely strong and powerful in his denial today.
But today, the president's national security team displayed a united front. Russia did it and is trying to do it again.
It goes beyond the elections. It goes to Russia's intent to undermine our democratic values, drive a wedge between our allies, and do a number of other nefarious things.
That message was echoed by the FBI director.
Russia attempted to interfere with the last election and continues to engage in malign influence operations to this day.
And to the Secretary of Homeland Security.
Our democracy itself is in the crosshairs.
The president was not in the room today, but his national security team clearly wants the world to know they are taking this seriously.
We acknowledge the threat. It is real. It is continuing, and we're doing everything we can to have a legitimate election.
The president insists he raised the issue in his one-on-one meeting with Putin. But 17 days later, his top intelligence advisor, who should know what was discussed, acknowledged he's still not sure.
I'm not in a position to either understand fully or talk about what happened at Helsinki.
The president now insists he accepts the intelligence agency's conclusion Russia interfered in the election, but he's added he thinks others may have done it too.
Has there been any evidence from the intelligence community that there were others besides Russia that were involved in election meddling?
Certainly we know there are others, and we know that there are others that are considering making attempts in 2018.
Who were the others that were involved in interference in 2016?
I can't get into specific details.
So let's get to John Carl. He's live at the White House tonight, and John, Special Counsel Robert Mueller has been investigating Russian meddling, as we know, possible collusion within the Trump campaign. And as I mentioned, we were the first to report our team 24 hours ago that the Special Counsel wants to ask the president specifically about obstruction of justice. And tonight, late word, the president's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, giving some indication as to when the president will decide whether or not to sit down, John?
Rudy Giuliani told Politico, David, that a decision he believes will be made sometime within the next week to 10 days about whether or not the president will agree to an interview with the special counsel. But I've got to say, Giuliani has set many deadlines before that have come and gone. I would not say that this one is set in stone.
All right, John Carl, to be continued.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your Tuesday, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.